I know I've got a few new faces today. My name is Jenna. I am a brand strategist with a heavy emphasis in AI implementation. My goal is really to make it easy and accessible and also ethical to implement it into your business system. And really the goal is to help you really be able to do more with less. So that's my little elevator speech there. So today what we're going to be talking about is my new favorite topic. Obviously, I am super nerdy about ChatGPT and AI in general. We've been waiting for GPT-5 for quite some time now, so I'm really excited that it came out last week. And I have spent, I don't want to talk about how many dozens of hours since last Thursday playing in it and testing what works and what doesn't. So I'm going to kind of walk you through from a high level standpoint today, the biggest changes and the best ways to use it now that it's out and how it's different from 4.0. If you walk away with nothing else today, what I really want you to hear is that I don't want you to keep using it the way you've been using 4.0 or even if you were using 3.5 on the free version. This is not just a faster and better model. It's very different in the way it operates. So there's different ways to actually use it and how to prompt it and how to set it up. So that's the one key takeaway is if you're not using it to its newest standards, you're really leaving a lot on the table. So that's kind of the broad overview. And then we'll kind of start going through. Oops, sorry, too far. So the main takeaway is that ChatGPT-4 or even previous models was an assistant. It was a really helpful assistant, did a lot of great uses. But ChatGPT-5 is like a multidisciplinary team. And I watched the live stream when it was announced last Thursday, and I thought Sam Altman said two really important things. The first was that 5, which is the legacy model, that's what you were using if you were just using the free version of ChatGPT. That was like using essentially someone with like a high school level knowledge. So some good things there, but kind of like using a high schooler. 4 was like using somebody with like collegiate level expertise. So getting a lot better, a lot more functional. But 5 is like having a multidisciplinary team of PhD level experts. This is truly a much more advanced model than we've ever seen. And the other thing he said, which has stuck with me and I keep repeating it, is he said very early on in the broadcast that ChatGPT-5 is going to enable humans to do more than they ever have before. And I think that is the really powerful takeaway. That, you know, particularly as business owners, as women business owners, we are already wearing a ton of different hats. And this is our answer to doing more with less and not burning out trying to do it and being able to compete with bigger teams and bigger budgets and things like that. That's the kind of the overview of what makes this so different. So I'll walk through kind of the biggest core updates. It adapts in real time. So it does change its approach based on the way you're interacting with it. 4 would do that, but only if you were in a specific thread where you were using it very specifically. Within 5, within one thread, you can have like a real rapid fire conversation, like I just need quick answers, quick bullet points, or you could have like, I need a full summary, I need something long. And there's a toggle feature actually to change how it responds, and I'll show you that live in a minute, but just know that it adapts real time and it can do that within the same thread, within the same conversation. It holds significantly more context. You can have much longer conversations without running out of memory, without it getting confused and hallucinating. I've played with this for dozens of hours now, and I have had almost zero hallucinations or where it's just gone completely rogue on me. It is able to recall from many steps, prior. In fact, I was using it today for something and it offered me a next step, which wasn't really where I wanted to go yet. I wanted to do something else first. And in the past with 4, I would have been like, okay, I need to get that out of it right now while it's fresh, while we're talking about it right here, so it doesn't lose that memory. But that's not the case anymore. So now I can say, nope, we'll come back to that. I want to do video scripts first. Let's outline those, and then let's go back to the email campaign or whatever it had offered me. You can do that now without worrying that it's you're going to have to start that process all over again, it'll go back to that. It's thinking more strategically. So it's going beyond just answering your questions. It's going to offer you kind of next steps. It's going to help you identify any potential issues. I've already seen that happen for me live, where it's like, but this might happen. And it's like, oh, that's a good point. So it's going to suggest approaches that you might not have considered, which is great, particularly if you're using it, say to market your business and you're not a marketing expert. That's not your expertise. It's going to help you through that. So again, it's like having that PhD level expert in your pocket for any kind of function, essentially. So here are the core differences of 4.0 and the move to 5. And again, I'm talking about 4.0 because that's the most recent model, and that was the most recent paid version model. So that's what most people were using. But if you were using just the free version up until now, you've been using 3.5. So this is going to be a huge jump if you were using 3.5. 4, it's still a huge jump, but not quite as dramatic. So again, the longer context, it's a 10x improvement. So you should not, I've had this happen myself for clients. I've had threads that just got too long, and I ran out of memory. And so I'd have to kind of scrape the whole thread, ask it to summarize for me, and start a new thread. You should not have to do that anymore, or at least not for a significant amount of time. That thread I'm talking about where that happened to me with 4.0, I've been using that for about a year, and a lot for a year. Realistically speaking, we should be talking about years now before you run out of memory in a specific thread. It has better reasoning ability across complex problems. Again, PhD level expertise. It should be able to infer more about what you're trying to do or what you want the outcome to be, and help guide you there, even if you're not necessarily sure exactly what you're trying to get to, which is often the case. It's going to kind of fill in those gaps for you. The adaptive communication styles, I'll show you that live in a minute. And then faster outputs. If you've used it already, it's extremely fast. You are getting answers much quicker, and then there's ways to toggle that. If you need an even faster answer, you can do that, or if you want it to think longer, you can tell it that too. So that's a new feature that we haven't had before. You weren't able to control how long it thought or what speed it gave you the output, and now you can do that. In terms of behavior, your prompting is becoming a lot less important. It's still relevant, but if you've been in my world for a while, you know that I focus a lot on training your AI up front so that you don't have to be really specific with prompts. I'm not asking you to ever dig through files of prompts looking for the perfect prompt to get what you want. What I want you to do is train it on the front end so that you can just converse with it kind of naturally. And this model is excelling at that. So this is going to make it so you don't have to be as technical in your prompting. It's handling complex instructions a lot better. So you can give it multi-step instructions. For instance, instead of saying, help me write an email nurture sequence for this marketing campaign, you can now say, I want to set up a marketing campaign for my new product. Help me outline the landing page, the email nurture sequence, the blog post. And it can do that all at once without you having to chunk it down into individual steps, which makes your life a lot easier. And I think it keeps it more consistent within its response as well. And then on the business impact side, again, I really, really value trained AI, custom trained GPTs, custom GPTs, and the ROI on those is going to increase so much now because you can remove a lot of what you used to have to explain to it in terms of what you wanted it to do. It was like, you are a expert social media strategist and you focus on these 3 things. You don't have to do that anymore. You can focus more on your knowledge base, your business, your processes. It naturally already has that framework of how to do the task built in, which is going to make your custom GPTs a lot more powerful. Bigger automation potential. This is faster. It's incredible at coding. It is really good at working with other third-party automation tools. So I run a white label, go high level that I use with my clients, and we're already seeing the impacts within GHL. Costs for automations have gone down. They're actually significantly lower than they were with 4 now. And just the ability to automate is going to be better based on this model. And reduce iteration cycles. Again, you don't have to explain to it each time now, like about the campaign you're running or the product. You can really rely on that memory and just get it to focus on the task at hand. So again, biggest takeaway is that this is more than just a faster GPT-4. You can handle entire projects in one go. So if you are, say, writing a lead magnet, you no longer have to break it down into write the lead magnet, now write the email nurture sequence to go along with it, then write the ad copy. You can explain to it up front, I am creating a lead magnet for my business. It needs to be supported with this and this and this. Go, and it'll do it. So it's your entire project lifecycle now. The outputs are more accurate and more nuanced. And in some cases, I've even seen where you almost sometimes have to dumb it down a little bit, depending on your audience or who you're putting that information out there for, or even if you're, having it explain something really technical to you. Sometimes you have to even go back and say, break that down for me, or explain it to me, at a high school level or a kindergarten level, depending on what you're doing, because it is that nuanced now. It's giving you that much detail. But sometimes it might even be a little too much, so you can just back it down if you need to. And then it's easier to integrate across your entire business. Obviously, marketing language is very different than customer service language. And before, you needed to kind of toggle between a client-facing response or a marketing response or an internal response. And now with 5, you don't have to. It understands that you're sending this email response to a customer, and it knows to respond in like a client-facing format without you telling it that. So easier to integrate into your whole business, have all your team members use it without breaking it into, you used to need several custom GPTs or several threads essentially, and you should not need to do that anymore. So again, I want you to update your approach on how you use this. I don't want you to just keep using it the same way you've been using it. You're not going to get as much out of it if you do it that way. So prompt shifting is my first takeaway. Before, and we've all seen those really long prompts where it's like, fill in the brackets and it's got tons of detail. You don't need to be that hyper detailed in your prompting anymore. And in fact, if you do that, you can almost constrain it a little too much. Because it has all of this knowledge and expertise, you want to explain to it, use natural language and give it your objective. Make it understand what you want out of it more so than how to do it. Think of it like if you had a doctor who is double board certified in a very specific specialty and knows way more than you might ever know about, a certain condition, that you came in and said, I want you to do surgery for this, but I want you to do it this way with this tool. That might not be the right way or the way that that provider would recommend based on their expertise. And you can kind of do the same thing with over prompting or over constraining your requests of your AI. Make it more conversational, give it directions, but talk to it like you're talking to a senior level employee or at least a mid-level employee, not like you're talking to a VA who doesn't know anything about your business or anything about what you're trying to accomplish. Custom instructions. If you are not already using custom instructions, let's sidebar on that. I want to get you using custom instructions, but if you are, now is the time to go in and refresh it with your goals, your tone, how to structure things, and focus it more on why you need things, why you do things, than prescribing respond this way. You can still use things like don't use the words unlock or limit emojis or remove the end dashes, all the things that you might have specific parameters for, but you're going to want to update those custom instructions to, again, just take the training wheels off a little bit. We're trying not to over constrain the model here. Custom GPT-5 or custom GPT upgrades. Implement within your custom GPTs, implement that multi-role capability. One custom GPT can run your whole business now or your whole marketing team. You don't have to have a social media specialist or an email marketing specialist. You can do it all in one. So update those GPTs if you're using 6 of them. See if you can consolidate into one, or maybe less than one, really just one account even if you're not using custom GPTs, because you shouldn't need to split that up as much anymore. And the idea is that the more you're using one singular source, be it a thread or a custom GPT, the more it's going to remember in that thread and in that custom GPT, which is going to, over time, we call it, basically reinforcement learning. The more you use it, the better it gets. And then chain of thought. So you can ask it to explain itself or think aloud. Tell me what you're doing or why you've done it this way. If it recommends like a marketing campaign, ask it, why, what do you think the outcome is going to be? My partner is a lawyer, and he was using it to work on a brief earlier this week, and it was pulling the date from his file name that he was uploading instead of the date of the incident. And so he asked it literally, like, where'd you pull that date from? Why did you do that? Because the document clearly states the incident date. And it explained back to him that, oh, well, I pulled that from the file name. And he was like, well, that makes total sense. Like, even a paralegal might make that mistake. But then he was able to go back and say, that's not how we do this. That's just a naming convention from the DA. We need to actually use within the document. Corrects that going forward, and he's not had that issue again since. So ask it to explain things if it does it wrong, or even if it does it right, so you understand the process and how you got there. So prompt evolution. So before, with 4.0 or 3.5, this is the kind of framework that I would have given you. I would have said, tell it to act as a marketing strategist with 10 years of expertise in blank. Analyze this campaign data using the AIDA framework. Format your response, clear headings, bullet points, actionable next steps. That's a really specific prompt where I'm giving it a little bit of kind of a handcuffed approach. With 5, what I want you to do is say something like, you are my marketing strategist. Analyze this campaign for increasing female executive signups. What's working? What should we change? And then work through it conversationally from there. You will get way better results doing it that way with 5 than if you give it a very concrete set of instructions to follow. And then my pro tip here is layer your information progressively. While it is very good at taking and dissecting a lot of information at once, chunk it down in steps, just like you would with an employee. Give it the most important stuff up front, and then as you're having those conversations with it and you're working through some nuances, add that context in. Like, again, oh, I wouldn't do it that way because, or actually this product is only meant for this audience. So just layer that in kind of slowly, and over time, as you use this model more and more, it's going to learn that. You will have to keep having those conversations, but as opposed to just like going in and giving it a big brain dump at once, start working through it conversationally. I always say treat your AI like a tool and kind of like a human employee. Train it in the same way you would a human on your processes, your business, your offers, anything like that. So let's talk now about use cases and what's now possible. So there are a lot of things that we can do now with 5.0 that we didn't used to be able to do with 4.0. And I won't read all of these off to you, but really the biggest thing is that it can analyze lots of data at once pretty fast. It can create really consistent long form content, and it can create content that all mirrors each other. So again, say, I want to create a marketing campaign for my new product X. Help me outline the campaign with blog posts, email nurture sequences, social captions, and it can do that all at once. And it's all going to flow together. It's going to put it together in a way that works in the way like a marketing strategist would put that kind of information together. It is great at creating automation blueprints. So if you are using an automation platform of any kind and you go in and you say, I want this to happen when I do this every day at 12 p.m., it can really design that workflow for you. And it'll even, I ran this myself this morning, it gave me 3 different options, like a low code, no code option, something using my existing tools, and then something that's maybe higher code, higher development, but has more scalability for what I do. So it gave me options within the tasks that I asked for, which I would not have gotten with 4. We've already talked about the multi-role. I think that's really important. And then real-time decision support. So I've been a big fan over the past couple of years of using ChatGPT for just reducing decision fatigue, where I used to sit and, marinate for days on like, should I, go with this lead magnet, or should I put this lead magnet out, or design this course next? I've used it to kind of work me through those things and come to decisions faster and without like taxing my brain so much thinking about all the options. So it's really great for that. We've even seen in the past few days sales teams using this live on sales calls to basically handle sales objections. Whereas you used to go into sales training for a week and they talked all about the objections you might get and how to handle them. Now you can get it in real time. It's like, oh, this client is concerned about this. How can I handle that objection? And people are using that in real time now, which is a huge upgrade. So lots of new use cases for it. And I've got this on this slide, but one of the things that I would love for you to do today, just kind of for fun, but also to learn how to use it, is think about something that either you've never been able to do with AI, or maybe you've tried in the past and hasn't gone the way you wanted it to, and go try it today with 5.0 and see if you can get the result that you want now, because you most likely can. So think about something that was impossible before and see if you can make it possible. And then the other steps. So audit your current workflows. If there's something you're already doing where you're using GPT consistently within that workflow or within your process, evaluate if you need to change that for the new capabilities, essentially. Rewrite key prompts. If you are always, if once a month you're asking it for 30 days of social media content or emails for that week, think about those prompts and how you've been prompting. And if you need to maybe pull the handcuffs off a little bit, give it a little more space to think and take advantage of its capabilities, to rewrite those for the new environment, essentially. We already talked about refreshing your custom instructions, focus on your goals and outcomes and what you want versus do this way, step by step. Small adjustments here and there with this new platform are going to give you very different results than what you've seen in the past. So I think the biggest frustration I've heard over the past week is, well, 4.0 did it this way, and it's like it's not 4.0, and it's going to behave differently, and we want that. You just have to adapt the way you use it to get the results that you want out of it. And it's very results oriented. That's what its kind of core functionality is, to give you the desired outcome. So if you can explain that desired outcome to it, you're going to get better results. So I have put together I'm calling it a mini course, but it's truly like 7 steps. This is not a 4-week thing. This is not going to take you hours. This is probably less than an hour to go through the 7 steps I would recommend in terms of how to update your settings, and maybe if you aren't using some of those settings yet, how to use them, how to upgrade key assets. If you've got a lead magnet out there, if you've got an ebook, or maybe you've got a nurture sequence, email nurture sequence, this is a really good time to think about those core assets that you've got and run them back through 5 and say, hey, this is my old email nurture sequence for this product. What should we update? And use that newer output if it makes sense, and most likely it will. So I've put in there how to upgrade those assets, how to refresh your workflows, and then also how to build in accuracy and fact checking into every process. I work with a lot of attorneys, and so I do a lot of referencing case law and making sure that this is really factually correct information. And so I have some specific processes for that to ensure that the information we're giving is correct. And so I put that in there as well. So again, it is totally free. It's not cumbersome. I don't think it shouldn't take you that long, but it literally just walks you through, and I want you to do them in order because it's built that way. And I'll drop the link in the chat in a minute how to get here. But it will just walk you through kind of updating for GPT-5 and really taking advantage of it. One thing I'm going to show you really quickly is that toggle that I talked about, because it's not super obvious, I think. So if you're in ChatGPT, obviously everything is defaulting to 5 up here now, but what you can do with this drop down now is you've got choices. Auto is where it decides how long to think, and that's built into its own methodology. So that's kind of your default. Fast is instant answers. So if you don't want it to spit out a long summary, or you just need a quick answer to like, what should I do with blank? Change it to fast, and you'll get exactly that, faster answers. Thinking is great for your blog posts, your in-depth research, strategic analysis, brainstorming. Use thinking for that. But you can do all of that here in any thread. And then you can access the legacy models as well if you need those. So those are there, but this is really kind of what you'll want to toggle. I've left it on auto most of the time, unless I knew I was doing something like legal research, then I've put it on thinking, but you can change that toggle. And while I'm thinking about it too, one frustration that I've got right now is that your custom GPTs, they will auto default. Like I have this list of custom GPTs. If I go to a new thread, see, it's going to default to 4.0. So you do have to go in here, and this is in my my onboarding, my mini course as well, but you do have to go in here and automatically change your custom GPTs to make sure that you're taking advantage of the newest model. Same thing if you've got old threads in here that, you know, were built on something. Oh, I already changed that one, but if you've got older threads from, you know, a couple of weeks ago, it's going to, let me change that one too. I have to go back pretty far. There we go. It's got to be in 4. Nope. Yes. Okay. So then you have to go in and automatically change an old thread. So that's one of my frustrations, but just something to know, and something that I've put in that transition course for you as well, so that you can, you know, kind of manually audit and go in and work through all of those individual tasks and make sure you're fully set up to move forward. So that is kind of the context that I wanted to give you, kind of the precursor to it all. I will send you the link. I'll drop it in the chat, and I'll also email it out as well if you want to go through the mini course and update it. I think it's just going to save you hours of like trial and error and not updating things that need to be updated. So it's just a quick work through everything that I've already done myself. I think it took me, you know, less than an hour, so it's not super cumbersome. Happy to take any questions. If there's anything you want me to address specifically or that I didn't, feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead.
Oh, okay. I will jump in. It's funny because as you're saying this, I'm like, yeah, I just was kind of messing around for the first time with 5 this morning. And I don't know if it was the hour or if it was because it was before coffee, but I was just kind of speaking more casually to it.
Yeah.
And it worked the first time I did it, so I kept doing it. And so you saying this, I was sitting here like, yeah. And I think I did it the first time, like pre-coffee, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to have to go back and, you know, edit this prompt. And it was such a nice surprise. My question is about something we didn't really cover here. And you might say like, this is outside the scope of this call, but I'm really curious about GEO and about what I need to be doing there. Like I called my SEO management company, and they were like, we're incorporating GEO too. But then I was kind of like, do I need a specialized GEO company? You know, like I don't really know what's going on there.
Yeah, so
that makes me nervous.
It should. It's definitely, and it's good that you're thinking about it, and it's good that it's something you're aware of, because I would say the vast majority of businesses probably aren't aware that they need to be adapting to it. I did, and I can send them to you. I've done a couple of these office hours. I did one on AEO, GEO. We're all calling it kind of something different, and they do different things. But I did cover like how search is changing and how SEO is changing in relation to AI, so I can send you that. But the basic takeaways are, so yes, I would recommend that you find, unless the agency you're working with is on top of it, and they should be, but I'm kind of finding that with SEO, they've been doing it for this way for so long, it works. A lot of them aren't adapting yet. So I think that those that are researching it now and doing it right now have a little bit better understanding of it, because it's honestly changing monthly. Google just released a big core update in June that was heavily geared towards these kind of updates, and a lot of people just haven't taken advantage of those changes, and they need to. So I have lots of resources on that. I'm happy to send them to you. But the main takeaways are the way search is changing is that we're no longer going to Google and saying dog training tips. We're going to, and this is because of things like Siri and Alexa and voice-based searches or ChatGPT, we're asking questions in a more natural format as humans of our AI or of our search engines. And so it's optimizing for that. So think about when you're writing content or when you're putting stuff on your website, think about the natural questions that someone would ask and answer it in the same way you would naturally answer it, right? So like this exchange is a perfect example, right? How do I start using GEO? How do I integrate it into my SEO strategy? And then I would, answer it naturally. And the ways you can do that are obviously just within your content, structure it that way. The second is FAQs are extremely powerful right now. I'm not putting a single blog post out for a client that doesn't have like at least 3 to 5 FAQs at the bottom. And then I'm putting that in, it's called structured schema, and there's like an FAQ schema. And what that FAQ schema is doing, and even if it's just without the schema, that helps a lot. But even if it doesn't, those answers are what is pulling mostly to the snippets at the top. So the zero-click stuff, the answers or questions people ask and things like that. So questions and answers, super powerful right now. So basically base all your content on that. Same goes with social media. People want to ask a question as your prompt and then answer it. So that's one thing. The structured schema is really important. The FAQ schema, that's what's really pulling to those answer snippets. And then the other end of the spectrum, and we talked a lot about this last week with a social media and SEO topic, but YouTube is the second largest search engine out there. So it's Google and then YouTube. And so on Google, what they are really prioritizing are short form videos. And that is what's pulling up to the top. And almost every, right under the zero-click stuff, you're going to see at least 1 or 2 video snippets. And those video snippets are coming directly from SEO optimized YouTube descriptions. And I could talk all day about those. But so consider doing short form videos, putting them on YouTube, and then embedding them in your content. And then again, put that video schema in there, or have your SEO agency do it if they can do it. So that's the best way to take advantage of it right now. And then the other one, and Kate and I talked a lot about this last week, the most popular place that user-generated answers are coming from is Reddit. And so it's interesting because most people don't think about promoting themselves on Reddit or answering questions on Reddit, but that is one of the fastest ways to get yourself in that little answer snippet at the top. So depending on what you do and depending on your niche, consider going into Reddit and answering questions, because that's a good way to get yourself up there as well. A lot of tactics, and it's evolving. What I say today is probably going to change in 3 months. That's why I say if your SEO company is doing things the way they were doing them 6 months ago, it's already too late, because it is changing that fast. But the biggest takeaway, all of it, is answer questions in all of your content, on your website pages. Put those FAQs, answer questions. That's what's really driving those answer snippets.
Wow, Jenna, thank you.
Sorry, I know that was probably like a huge
that was
break.
I took notes. Thank you.
I'm going to do a full one of these on AEO soon, because it's one of the core things I do for my clients is AEO optimization. I need to put something together on that. I just haven't gotten to it yet. It's written on my whiteboard over here. It's going to happen. Anybody else? Anything I can answer? And I'm happy to answer ChatGPT-5 or anything else digital marketing related. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know, but usually I do. Happy to answer any other questions anybody's got.
I got a question. So we're talking about consolidating our GPTs and everything, but if you have different clients and you want them to know this client only, is it just doing that through a thread, or still like, okay, this is my custom GPT for this client? What's your recommendation based on that?
So, and that's exactly what I do. So this is my process that I'll tell you. So I build a custom GPT for every client that serves as their kind of AI brand manager. It knows everything about their business the same way I want to know it. So I have that for actual client work and client production. But then within my own account, I have gone in and explained to it exactly like, these are my clients. This is what I do for them. This is what they do. It's made me spreadsheets of all that. And I make sure that it understands how I utilize it for clients. And then I also train the custom GPTs to do the client work as well. But it, like if I were to go into mine right now and like ask it a question about one of my clients, I guarantee you it could say like, oh yeah, Skin PH is a med spa in Murfreesboro and you do SEO and social media and ads for them. So that's the way I manage it, is I teach it what I do and then I teach it the client as well.
You kind of know what the other ones are saying and like,
yep.
Okay.
Yep. It does. Yeah. All right. And while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to drop this link to get to this transition checklist. I will drop it in here. And then, like I said, I will email it out too. That's the link of how you get to that. And then feel free to use it. If you have questions, you should have my email, know how to reach me. And yeah, I will. We've only had this for a little less than a week now, so it's still evolving. I'm still learning it, but I have put a lot of time and effort into learning it. So as things evolve and as updates come through, I will keep communicating those. But I think this is a good starter overview. Updating your account and changing the way you're prompting right now is really important. And then moving forward, as we find more use cases for it, I will share those as well. All right. Anybody else? Going once, going twice? No? Okay, cool. All right. Well, everyone have a great rest of your Wednesday. And again, feel free to reach out anytime. I'm always happy to answer questions. So just let me know what you need. All right.
Thank you so much.
Bye.